Hi there, this is Calvin Wayman, and I am your Millionaire case study. In this episode, it's probably going to be longer than most episodes are going to be, but I'm going to do my best to kind of catch people up to where I am in the present. If you haven't seen the intro video on what Millionaire case study is all about, please go check it out. But just briefly, it's a way for people to watch somebody in real time go through the process of making their first million. Okay? And what better way to document it and tell the story than while it's happening? Okay? I believe there's a lot of stuff that gets missed throughout the process. And so I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm not a millionaire right now. I'm not close to being a millionaire right now. But it's my aim and my desire and my dream to make that a reality. And so I want to help people start with me on the ground level and see the process go and get some lessons out of it through your eyes, through your lens, what you can pick up so that you can build the life that you want as well. So to catch up, I'm going to give kind of my backstory. So I'm 28 right now. 28 years old, living in Southern California. I'm from Utah, and I was homeschooled my entire life up through high school. I graduated high school when I was 16 through homeschool, and then I worked construction for a few years, and then I went to college. During the time I was going into college, I loved computers growing up. I was, as a 6-year-old when we got our first computer, I was kind of the one that would show the adults how to do things. So I love computers, and I was trying to decide if I should go into computer science or business. And I ultimately chose business. And the reason I did is I realized I wanted to be free. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I would rather have a computer scientist work for me than me be a computer scientist working for someone else. So that was the idea, and I went to school, started going to school at the University of Utah, I started at Salt Lake Community College to get my associate's degree. Then I later transferred to the University of Utah. And so I have a bachelor's degree from there, the University of Utah, with an emphasis on entrepreneurship. What you need to know, so I think personal development is probably a huge key for people trying to make themselves better. And when I was getting started in college and figuring stuff out in my young 20s, just a few years ago, I was very rusty. As a matter of fact, I had not read any personal development books clear up to the year I was going to graduate. And I mean, at best, I would probably read 2 books a year, because I would start reading and then I would get so tired I couldn't finish. But then something came up to where I just started wanting to start reading more. And I was a part of a network marketing company, and one of the things that network marketing, the people advocate, is personal growth and development. And so reading, making yourself better. There's quotes from Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn. I heard quotes that resonated with me. If you want things to change, then you have to change. If you want things to get better, then you have to get better. And so it made sense. But again, I had a huge struggle with reading, because I would just fall asleep and I couldn't finish. So then I discovered audiobooks. And what I loved about audio is it had a set time, beginning and end. Now, with this show, I want it to be totally open and transparent as possible so people know exactly what I did. And so I want you to know that at the time when I first discovered audio, I did not go find these audiobooks online. I did not purchase them. Instead, I found torrents. Yeah, I found torrent downloads for most of them online where you could get the audio for free. So I would hear somebody recommend a book, and then I would just Google it and see if I could find that book for free. And I usually could, and then I put it on my little MP3 player and started to listen to it. So that's how I started into audio, and I learned something really cool when I started getting into audiobooks, and that was not only could I finish the book, but I actually retained it better than if I was reading it for some weird way. So it was interesting. So audiobooks and books has been a huge part of the last several years, trying to get myself to become a better person. And the reason I bring up books is I think it's a huge key into the path that I'm on and what I have been on. one of the books that I read early on, I think it was 2011. Yeah, it was 2011 when I first studied, when I first got into books. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And in that book, he said that no matter what business you go into, because that's what I was in the field of business, I wanted to know how to do it right. This was the year I was graduating, by the way. So I went all through high school, all through college without reading anything I didn't have to. But in 2011, the year I was graduating, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said that no matter what business you're going to get into, you have to know how to sell, right? You need to be able to communicate with other people, and you need to know how to sell. And so I was like, awesome. So that's a skill that I need to get better. That's what I've been hearing. You got to make yourself better if you want things to become better. And so when I read that, I immediately looked around to find something I could do to learn how to sell. So I went and found this job at a call center. It was a sales center to take phone calls over the phone and sell people, to learn how to sell. Now, when I started this, so I have the entrepreneur fire. I want to have things, I've always wanted to have freedom and become better and everything. So I kind of figured that I would have been natural at selling, right? But the reality is, when I went into this sales job, I landed flat on my face. I sucked at sales. I was not born good. In fact, in that company, I held the record for the lowest performance that an agent ever had. Literally. In fact, I don't think anybody can even get that low anymore because the system fires you if you ever get that low. So that's how bad I was. And what happened was, I was there for just a few weeks or a month or something, and the founder of that company, who was also in charge, invited me into his office. And that meeting changed my life, because it was in that meeting that he was either going to, he brought me in to let me know that this was not working and something was going to have to change, or he was going to let me go. So he sat me down, and one of the things that he was clear on is, I don't know how you have achieved such great failure. If you just read the script, you should have better performance than this. Like, it was horrible. I was costing the company money every single time I took a phone call. And he was like, this obviously can't continue, so we're either going to have to let you go or something's going to have to change. Now, at the time, I really took to heart to what Robert Kiyosaki said. You need to learn how to sell. But he also said, you need to work to learn instead of working to earn. So I kind of needed a job for practicality, but it wasn't that. It was more, I needed it, I wanted it to learn. And so I put it right back to him. I was like, in the training, you said you could teach me to be the best person in this place. And at the time, there was only about 40 people working there. And I just put it right back on him. Because, by the way, something you need to know about my mentor, he was the very best in this industry of direct response, the direct-to-consumer, people watching stuff on TV, calling in. He worked for a company before he was a founder of this one, and he was the very, very best. So he was great in his training, and he gave us a lot of confidence that we could be the best. And so I put it right back on him. I said, you said I could be the best. You could teach me to be the best. And he said, okay, I have a deal for you. And the deal was, I will keep you on and not fire you if you do this one thing. If you promise to do everything that I tell you to do, then I'll keep you. And I had no really other option, but I was all in. I was like, yes, absolutely. That's what I want. I want somebody to coach me. And he says, that's the thing. That's the reason I want to keep you, because I see that you're raw. Yeah, you're not good right now. You're raw, but I think you're moldable. So if you're willing to do what I say, to get out of your comfort zone, then I will keep you. And I said, awesome, let's do it. And that was the beginning of my sales journey. He gave me one challenge in that meeting that helped me overcome a lot of crap. Not really. First of all, you need to. I don't really know why I was so horrible at sales. One of the reasons could be because I was homeschooled. I wasn't around a lot of different people. I just didn't have these social skills that you usually pick up growing up. But what I've learned through sales is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be born with sales skills. So he gave me the challenge that day. He's like, this is your first challenge. Don't hang up the phone until your customer does. That's challenge number one. I thought it was going to be easy. I had no idea what I was committing to. But he says, yeah, don't hang up until they do. So that taught me a lot of things. That taught me how to, when after the customer says no but they haven't hung up, to come up with something else to say. To stay there and feel the pressure of that awkward silence and not cave. To just say something, say anything. That's better than just saying thank you and hanging up. But what it eventually helped me do is it taught me to overcome objections. It taught me to rebut people. It taught me how to get people to my side, or it taught me to listen, to understand people while they were saying no. That's key number one, but it taught me how to turn no's into yeses.